South Alabama Jaguars versus Georgia State Panthers. The Sun Belt season grinds on with a clash between two struggling programs desperate for redemption as the South Alabama Jaguars, 1-6, 0-3 Sun Belt, visit the Georgia State Panthers, 1-6, 0-3 Sun Belt, on Thursday at Center Parc Stadium in Atlanta. On paper, it's a meeting of equals, two teams mired in identical records, each searching for direction and identity amid a season of missed chances. But beneath the symmetry lies a battle between contrasting styles. South Alabama's balanced, pass-leaning offense, led by quarterback Bishop Davenport, against Georgia State's bruising, quarterback-driven attack featuring Cameron Brown. Both sides enter with playoff hopes long extinguished, but pride, progress, and the chance to climb out of the Sun Belt basement provide plenty of fuel for a spirited contest. This matchup marks a pivotal point in what has been a humbling 2025 campaign for both programs. The Jaguars have dropped 6 straight games, including narrow defeats to Troy, 31-24 overtime, and Arkansas State, 15-14, while Georgia State's season has spiraled since an early win over Murray State, capped by 5 consecutive losses in conference play. Each team sits tied for last in its division, with the Jaguars occupying the cellar of the Sun Belt West and the Panthers struggling to stay afloat in the East. The stakes aren't playoff-bound, but cultural. Who can reclaim momentum, re-establish leadership, and salvage pride before November arrives? The quarterback duel is at the heart of this Thursday's storyline. South Alabama's Bishop Davenport, a 6'2", 210-pound junior from Spring, Texas, has endured a roller coaster season, combining flashes of poise with stretches of inconsistency. Through 7 games, Davenport has thrown for 1,181 yards, 9 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions, completing 114 of 172 attempts, 66.3%, with a passer rating of 39.3, a number dragged down by a patchy offensive line and frequent third-down breakdowns. His best work has come in conference play, where he's averaged 419 yards and 2 touchdowns against Sun Belt opponents, including a resilient performance in the overtime loss to Troy, where he completed 27 of 38 passes for 278 yards and 2 scores. Davenport's game leans on rhythm throws and intermediate timing routes to receivers like D. Voisin, whose sharp cuts open slants and hitches across the middle. But the downside remains glaring. His protection has allowed pressure on over 35% of dropbacks, and his decision-making under duress often leads to forced throws or sacks at critical junctures. Across the field, Georgia State's Cameron Brown, a junior from Warner Robins, Georgia, represents both power and precision. At 6 feet 1 inch and 236 pounds, Brown brings a linebacker's frame to the quarterback position, and it shows in his mobility and pocket toughness. Brown has totaled 882 yards, 8 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions in 2025, completing 68 of 128 passes, 66.2%, with a much-improved quarterback rating of 82.6. Though his overall yardage lags behind Davenport's, his efficiency, particularly against Sun Belt defenses, has been markedly superior. Brown enters this contest fresh off a 41-24 loss to Georgia Southern, in which he threw for 286 yards and 3 touchdowns while posting a 73.6% completion rate. When Georgia State's offense hums, it's because Brown executes play-action passes that exploit over-aggressive safeties, connecting frequently with wide-out T-Hurst on deep crossers and corner fades. In contrast to Davenport's touch-based passing, Brown's throws carry zip and purpose, and his ability to avoid turnovers may be the difference-maker against a South Alabama defense that ranks near the bottom of the conference in takeaways. Statistically, Davenport has the yardage advantage, but Brown's clean stat line and rising October form make him the steadier option heading into Thursday. Georgia State's offensive line has allowed fewer sacks, and Brown's passer rating jumps to 134.3 in conference games compared to Davenport's 118.6. If the Jaguars can't collapse the pocket early, Brown's arm could carve up a defense surrendering over 250 passing yards per game. While both quarterbacks headline the matchup, their surrounding casts tell distinct stories. South Alabama's offense has leaned heavily on running back Kentrell Bullock, whose 568 rushing yards on 124 carries and 6 touchdowns lead the team. Bullock's north-south style offers reliability, but his production has dipped against stronger fronts. He averaged just 3.4 yards per carry over the last 3 contests. The Jaguars' offensive identity thrives when Bullock and Davenport complement each other, allowing play-action setups to open vertical seams for wide receiver D. Voisin, who leads the team with 41 receptions for 544 yards and 4 touchdowns. Voisin's chemistry with Davenport has been the lone bright spot in a season defined by close losses. His route-running precision often draws double coverage, freeing up secondary targets like Devin Thomas, whose red zone usage remains underexploited. Georgia State counters with a receiving core anchored by Terrence Hurst, who has emerged as one of the Sun Belt's most consistent targets. With 42 catches for 579 yards and 3 touchdowns, Hurst provides both explosive downfield capability and third-down reliability. His rapport with Brown deepens each week, and his 13.8 yards per catch average underscores his ability to stretch the field. In the backfield, running back Rondell Amos contributes 242 rushing yards and 2 scores on 54 carries. Modest numbers, but his agility in the passing game adds a layer of unpredictability that South Alabama's linebackers must account for. The Panthers' offensive formula, a blend of short play-action routes and occasional RPOs, has kept them competitive even in defeat, with Brown's discipline allowing the unit to avoid turnovers and sustain drives. Neither team enters this game riding any momentum, though their trajectories differ slightly. South Alabama's 6-game losing streak has been a cocktail of frustration, a 1-point heartbreak to Arkansas State, 15-14, an overtime collapse to Troy, 31-24, and defensive meltdowns against Coastal Carolina and North Texas. The Jaguars' offense averages just under 21 points per game, while their defense allows 30. Their inability to finish close contests has defined the season. 4 of their 6 losses have come by 8 points or fewer, highlighting a troubling trend in late-game execution. Defensive lapses in crucial situations, particularly on third down, have repeatedly flipped winnable games, allowing opponents to sustain drives and seize momentum. Combined with occasional offensive misfires, these shortcomings have turned what should have been competitive contests into disappointing losses. If the team hopes to change its trajectory, tightening up late-game defense and maintaining composure under pressure will be essential, as small mistakes have consistently proven costly throughout the season. Georgia State, meanwhile, opened with promise, defeating Murray State 37-21 before dropping 6 straight, including blowout losses to Vanderbilt and James Madison. Yet despite the record, there are glimmers of competitiveness. 3 of the last 4 defeats were within a touchdown, and Brown's steady improvement has given the offense a pulse. The Panthers' ability to stay in games despite adversity shows resilience, and their defensive adjustments late in contests suggest they are learning to limit big plays. If they can maintain composure and capitalize on short field opportunities, Georgia State has the potential to make South Alabama work for every yard, keeping the game within striking distance until the final whistle. Defensively, however, the Panthers have allowed over 40 points in each of their last 3 games, hemorrhaging big plays against the pass. Their tackling and secondary discipline have been inconsistent, especially in the red zone, where opponents are converting nearly 80% of their trips into touchdowns. At home, the Panthers have been slightly stronger, averaging 28 points per game compared to just 17 on the road. a factor that could loom large with Thursday's home field advantage. If Georgia State can tighten coverage and secure the tackle, especially near the goal line, they have a chance to disrupt South Alabama's rhythm and swing momentum early. Home support could energize the defense, helping mask schematic flaws and giving the Panthers an edge in contested situations. Still, sustained success will depend on minimizing blown assignments and pressure on the secondary, making each defensive series a critical test of focus and execution in a game that promises to be fast-paced and high-scoring. In the broader Sun Belt landscape, both programs are fighting for respect rather than postseason relevance. In the East Division, Georgia State sits 7th, winless in conference play behind powerhouses James Madison, 4-0, and Coastal Carolina, 3-1. In the West, South Alabama languishes at the bottom, also 0-3, well behind Southern Miss and Troy, who share 3-0 conference marks. For both, the realistic goal is not a bowl berth but building toward 2026, identifying core personnel, developing younger linemen, and stabilizing quarterback play. Beyond immediate results, this game offers a valuable evaluation platform. Coaches can test schemes, assess player maturity under pressure, and refine rotations without the pressure of playoff stakes. Wins would be morale-boosting, but incremental progress in execution, decision-making, and resilience will ultimately signal which program is laying the groundwork for sustained competitiveness. For fans, it's a chance to witness the developmental pulse of both teams, where potential meets preparation, and small victories in discipline and cohesion may matter more than the final score. For head coach Kane Womack at South Alabama, this stretch represents a test of locker room resilience and identity maintenance. Georgia State's staff faces similar challenges, with fan frustration mounting after multiple close losses that slipped away due to defensive breakdowns. A win Thursday won't erase the season's shortcomings, but it would restore some faith in direction and effort. Beyond the scoreboard, this game serves as a measuring stick for team culture and mental toughness. How players respond to adversity, execute under pressure, and maintain focus through mistakes will reveal more than stats ever could. Coaches will be evaluated not just on strategy, but on their ability to inspire confidence and accountability in critical moments. For fans and analysts alike, Thursday's matchup is as much about demonstrating character and cohesion as it is about tallying points or yardage, with each play offering insight into which team is truly learning from past missteps and capable of sustaining success down the stretch. Neither team reports catastrophic injuries entering the matchup, though both have depth concerns. South Alabama's offensive line remains a rotating carousel, with several starters nursing lower body strains, forcing the staff to shuffle protection schemes weekly. That instability has exposed Davenport to more hits than ideal, affecting his rhythm in the pocket. Defensively, linebacker B. Myrick continues to anchor the group with 46 tackles, but fatigue and lack of rotation depth have limited his sideline range in the second halves of games. This dynamic makes every snap critical, as even minor lapses in blocking or assignment discipline could lead to momentum-shifting plays. The Jaguars will need timely adjustments from both coordinators, emphasizing efficient substitutions, quick reads, and strategic play calling to mitigate the wear and tear. If they can manage energy and avoid critical mistakes, they still have a path to challenge Georgia State's balanced attack, but the margin for error is razor thin in a matchup where depth and durability could ultimately decide the outcome. On Georgia State's side, the defense leans heavily on linebacker Jay Robinson, whose 55 tackles lead the team. The Panthers' secondary, however, has been their Achilles heel. Blown coverages and missed assignments have repeatedly sabotaged otherwise solid stretches of play. Both defenses rank near the bottom of the Sun Belt in points allowed, meaning this game could quietly transform into an unexpected shootout if either quarterback finds rhythm early. If Robinson can anchor the front seven and generate consistent pressure, It may help mask the secondary's lapses, but much will depend on timely adjustments and communication. Expect a fast-paced, high-leverage game where momentum swings quickly, as a single big play or misread could ignite scoring runs. Fans should brace for a contest defined less by sustained drives and more by explosive moments, with both offenses looking to exploit every defensive vulnerability while trying to maintain composure in what could become a chaotic, edge-of-your-seat affair. Several dynamics could determine the outcome Thursday night. First, protection efficiency. Davenport's tendency to hold the ball under pressure could spell disaster against a Panthers front that, while inconsistent, has shown flashes of aggression. If South Alabama's line holds, Davenport's short passing attack could wear down Georgia State's defensive backs. Second, red zone execution looms large. How each team converts scoring opportunities will likely decide the margin of victory, with precise route running and situational awareness becoming paramount. Additionally, third down success and clock management could tilt momentum, while turnovers or special teams plays may create pivotal swings. Ultimately, execution in these critical phases could define whether the Jaguars edge out a narrow victory or the Panthers pull off a late upset. Georgia State has scored touchdowns on just 55% of its red zone possessions this year, while South Alabama sits slightly higher at 61%. Whichever team capitalizes better inside the 20-yard line likely controls momentum. Finally, turnover margin, Georgia State's +4 differential versus South Alabama's -6, might be the single most predictive metric. Brown's clean season, 0 interceptions, contrasts sharply with Davenport's 4 interceptions, and in a matchup of two struggling defenses, ball security could be decisive. Beyond raw numbers, red zone efficiency and turnover discipline often set the tone in close contests. Georgia State's ability to finish drives consistently and protect the football allows them to dictate tempo, force South Alabama into high-pressure situations, and potentially turn small mistakes into game-changing opportunities. Conversely, any lapse by the Jaguars could quickly swing momentum, making this one of those matchups where execution in critical moments outweighs overall yardage or statistics. Individual X factors also matter. Terrence Hurst's ability to stretch the field could expose the Jaguars' safeties, who've been late on rotations all season. On the flip side, South Alabama's Voisin can single-handedly flip drives with his route craft and yards-after-catch explosiveness, particularly on slants and digs against soft zone coverage. Special teams, often overlooked, could swing hidden yardage. Both teams have inconsistent kick coverage units, and a big return could spark momentum. Beyond the usual matchups, these players represent game-changing potential that can shift the narrative in a single possession. Hurst's speed and field awareness can open lanes for secondary receivers, while Voisin's knack for finding seams against zone schemes keeps defenses honest. If either unit finds rhythm on special teams, it could create short fields or momentum shifts that ripple through both sides, turning a tightly contested game into one defined by timely, explosive plays rather than sustained drives. From a pure analytics standpoint, South Alabama enters as a slight favorite, holding a 69.2% win probability thanks largely to efficiency metrics adjusted for opponent quality. Their offensive yardage totals and passing production give them a marginal edge, but Georgia State's home field advantage and turnover discipline keep this matchup closer than records suggest. Advanced metrics also highlight the Jaguars' success in third down efficiency and red zone execution, which could prove critical in a tight contest. Meanwhile, the Panthers' ability to protect the football and control time of possession may limit big scoring swings, ensuring that every play and every decision carries heightened significance in determining the outcome. Expect a back-and-forth affair defined by sustained drives rather than explosive plays. Brown's composure and mistake-free play make Georgia State the more stable team, yet South Alabama's balance and late-down passing precision may prove decisive. Davenport, despite his flaws, has shown an ability to command tempo when the Jaguars establish early rhythm. Key third-down conversions and clock management will likely dictate which team controls momentum, and special teams could play a pivotal role in swinging field position. Expect a gritty, strategic contest where each possession carries weight, and minor execution errors could determine the difference between a narrow victory and a tough loss for either side. Projected scoreline: South Alabama 27, Georgia State 23. Ultimately, the Jaguars' offensive efficiency and slightly sturdier defensive front should allow them to edge out the Panthers in a close, gritty Sun Belt battle. South Alabama's ability to sustain drives, protect the football, and convert in key situations may make the difference when every yard counts, giving them a slight edge in a matchup that promises to be decided in the trenches. If the Panthers can generate pressure on third downs or force a turnover, they could flip the momentum quickly, but South Alabama's balanced attack and disciplined execution should be enough to withstand late pushes. Fans can expect a hard-fought, strategic battle where line play and situational awareness define the final outcome. It won't erase the frustrations of 2025, but for South Alabama, it might be the first small step toward respectability and a foundation to build upon in the coming seasons. Every hard-earned yard, every successful third-down conversion, and each defensive stand will serve as a lesson in resilience and incremental progress for a program still finding its footing. For Georgia State, the night will again hinge on missed opportunities, close enough to taste victory, yet still falling just short when it matters most, a reminder that execution in key moments remains their greatest challenge. Thursday night in Atlanta won't define either program's long-term trajectory, but it will reveal which team has the heart to fight through adversity, execute under pressure, and maintain focus when the spotlight has dimmed. Moments like these, tense, tightly contested, and brimming with small but meaningful storylines, often separate programs on the rise from those still searching for consistency, leaving lasting impressions on players, coaches, and fans alike. After analyzing both teams, my pick for this match is South Alabama Jaguars winner. Drop your thoughts and predictions in the comments box.